Boys from County Hell is a 2020 horror movie written and directed by Chris Bach, who based it on his own short film of the same name from 2013.
Chris said he wouldn't have been ready to do the full-length version back in 2013 even if he wanted to, because he and his producing partner, Yvonne Donahoe, had absolutely no experience with the type of special effects a movie like this would have needed. Which makes perfect sense to me, as I've heard those kind of things can be very difficult to do on a low budget.
Since the late 1950s, it's been widely claimed that the world's most famous vampire, Bram Stoker's Dracula, was based on the real-life figure of Vlad Tepes, the Prince of Wallachia, otherwise known as Vlad the Impaler. But after a scholarly article in 1998 suggested there was no evidence Mr. Stoker would have had any knowledge of Vlad the Impaler's dastardly details, it was suggested that Stoker was actually inspired by the Irish legend of Abertoch.
And that, my friends, is the idea that this movie explores. Let's have a gander.
The plot.
Boys from County Hell is set in the fictional town of 6 Mile Hill, and in this film, 6 Mile Hill is where the legend of Abertoch was born. We meet lifelong chums Eugene, played by Jack Rowan, and William, played by Fra Fee, as they while away the hours in their local pub, aptly named The Stoker.
Legend has it, in this movie, Bram Stoker, an Irishman himself, spent a day in 6 Mile Hill, and when he learned of the local legend, he lifted it and used it to write one of the scariest books of all time. Not that one. This one.
So while Eugene and William dream of bigger and better lives for themselves elsewhere, they make a few pennies on the side spooking gullible tourists that come to visit Abertoch's burial site. But when Eugene's road-working dad Francie, played by Nigel O'Neill, takes a job building a highway bypass through the backwater town, it seems there's no way of avoiding the real Dracula's cairn.
A cairn is a man-made pile of stones, and in this scenario, they're used to mark the location where somebody, or something, had been buried. Think of it like a prehistoric version of a headstone, without the extensive payment plan. Life must have been so much lovelier when it didn't cost you anything to die.
As soon as construction kicks off, the cairn's demolished and Abertoch's fable turns quickly to fact. Will the reluctant construction crew stop bickering long enough to band together and come up with a plan? Will Eugene finally get his shit together to save the town, its residents, and everyone he knows and loves?
You're gonna have to watch it to find out. Let's take a look at the cast now.
The cast.
Jack Rowan from Peaky Blinders is the main character. He wants a better life for himself, but he can't be arsed doing anything to get it.
He owes money to the local pub. His father Francie's constantly offering him work in the family business, but he's just not bothered. As it was his spiteful act that kicked off all the supernatural action, he's on the hook to get the evil back into the ground where it belongs.
As is often the case with Irish people, and I know this from experience, the sensible boy in the crew is usually the girl. Claire McCann is played by Louisa Harlan, who you might know from Dairy Girls. But I don't.
Claire's quick on her feet and funny and not afraid to get her hands dirty. Or in this case, bloody.
Eugene's dad, Francie, is played by Nigel O'Neill. And if you're of Irish or Northern Irish descent, you've probably got an uncle or 7 exactly like him.
He's set in his ways and he's out of touch and he's got a built-in lazy detector. And that's why he and his son Eugene are constantly at each other's throats.
The good bits.
If you've seen a lot of horror comedies, you know it's a very challenging balance to strike. Make the movie too scary and the jokes will seem intrusive or inappropriate. Make the movie too funny and the most monstrous monster in the world won't be taken seriously. Boys from County Hell gets the balance right, and I believe this is due in large part to the story's Irishness. For those of you unfamiliar with actual Irish and Northern Irish culture,
there's a difference, alright, and I would tell you about it, but I don't have 5 weeks.
Beyond the shamrocks and leprechauns the shops around the world stuff down your throats every year, you might be surprised to learn a lot of the comedy in this movie is kind of more of a snapshot of typical banter between actual Irish people. It feels natural and authentic in the movie because it is. This movie also succeeds at finding a balance within its story. I've said countless times, the best horror movies are built on a foundation that puts the story first and accents it with horror elements. Yes, this is a vampire movie, but Chris Bach weaves small town life and family dynamics in with the vampiric folklore, which means there's emotional stakes to go along with the wooden ones.
Because at the end of the day, nobody forms an emotional attachment to the vampires in vampire movies. Unless you're, you know, One of those people.
Most people form attachments to the actual characters in the movie who have to defeat the vampires. When vampire movies reverse that emphasis, they tend to suck, or bite, or even worse, sparkle.
The shite bits.
I had no qualms with this movie. As far as I'm concerned, it did exactly what horror comedies set out to do. But from what I've read, some people had issues with the language and the accents, which I don't get at all.
However, as I am eternally grateful to you for taking the time to watch my videos, I feel that it's my responsibility to help you in any way I can. So, here is a very typical Northern Irish conversation for your perusal. What's the crack? But you mate. Fucking Baltic, so it is. You're fucking steamers. Why ain't you fucking nagging? Aye, dead on, you dickhead, you. You're a fucking melter. And you're fucking banjaxed. Fucking staring, you're fucking bugging. Catch yourself on. You fucking catch yourself on fucking speaking to me like that. You're right. Listen, Dad, tell my man not be round for my tea later, alright? I never fucking invited you round for your tea, you wee fucking cunt. Rewind that back as many times as you want to, and you'll be speaking like a native in no time at all.
The verdict.
So, should you watch Boys from County Hell if you haven't seen it already? Or should you bury it somewhere in the fucking back garden under a pile of fucking Stones Lake?
Yes, yes, and yes. This movie is witty and charming and spirited, and it has family and friends and laughs and scares and blood and guts and a vampire you've never seen the likes of before. The effects are great for a low-budget film. The pacing whisks you right through the story, and it succeeds at replacing tradition with tradition. That'll make more sense if you watch the movie, which I recommend you do. Absolutely. Until next time, folks. It's me, Johnny, from that thing you just watched. If you enjoyed it, go down there and smash me in the face to subscribe. And if you want to watch another thing, there's one right there. Do it!